Okay, I think audio is sorted out. Hello and welcome to Plugin Along, a stream dedicated to LOTRO plugins. Last time on Plugin Along, we continued working on the Festival Buddy 2 plugin by refactoring the code that creates the barter items in the barter window. So it's separate from the code that creates the actual list of items. Because today we're going to keep working on changing that list into a tree, and that'll make it easier, we hope. So, as always, feel free to jump in to chat with your thoughts and questions. And in the meantime, we're just enjoying a nice quiet night here in Glen Hillig as we are between festivals, and this is a nice cozy place to hang out. Except for all the death trap gravity stuff. Just don't worry about it. Then says, hi, that answers my first question. What are you working on? Yeah, there's so much to do, but one of the things I wanted to take advantage of during this sort of off time between festivals was the Festival Buddy plugin has a feature where you can list barter items. And over time, as Standing Stone Games keeps adding things to the list of items you can buy at a festival, these lists keep getting longer and longer. And so what I would like to do is transform this list box into a tree view. And one of the main things about tree views is you can collapse sections. So for instance, if I'm looking at Yule and I'm like, oh, I don't care what Jeffrey Bloomer has, I would love to be able to click on Jeffrey Bloomer and collapse everything and go on to the next NPC. Or, oh, I don't actually care about consumables, click, and that minimizes. And if we get really fancy, we can even save to file which of these are collapsed or expanded so that persists next time. And we can even add an expand all and a collapse all buttons to get really, really fancy. So, but first thing, yeah, we want to take how we're populating this list of items and change it into a tree view. So last time we had some thoughts at the end of the stream, so let's go ahead and pull up the desktop view. And we can see that to do next stream, we had general thoughts. And the first step is kind of make something that will look identical to the list box, but it will be under the covers a tree view, which is put these all in as root nodes of the tree. And I think that will be pretty visually indistinguishable from a list box because there won't be any hierarchies and there won't be anything that can be collapsed or expanded to show or hide things. So that's where we're going to begin today. But first, I'm going to get a drink of water. Okay. And then I wanted to double check my audio. Okay, everything looks great. But the game sound's not coming through, or is it? It's there, it's just quiet. Okay. So, yeah, let's jump into the code. We're going to go ahead and pull up, not general functions. We want to be in the barter window. This is where we are, and this is what we're trying to do. So we currently have this barter items list box. And that was something we did last time, was we renamed let's pull this up. No, let's have context. Okay, so that was renaming those things. All right. Refactored code, return to nil, refactor code, rename some variables, made those variables camel case, change a few global variables to be local variables. Okay, that's where I did this. Yes. So we had a global variable called list barter items, and by encoding the type into the variable, if you're using a plain notepad style development environment, such as it is, then you can look at it and say, oh, okay, that's supposed to have a list, or in this case, a list box. But that's close enough. Or this is the scroll bar for the list box. And that's fine. That's the type of Hungarian notation that I'm not really a fan of, systems notation, where it's encoding the type, the underlying type, and not the semantics. The semantics are, this is meant to be the barter items, and whether it's a list or a tree or whatever, I don't care about that so much. I want to, so by dropping list here, we're not going to have to do any future changes. When this changes from a list box to a tree view, we're just going to be like, hey, it's the barter items. So that's what we're going to start with, is to say, okay, what if this is a tree view? Now, that means some things are going to break, specifically all the ways we populate this thing. But we have some IntelliSense here that says, hey, stuff changed. So in the refresh barter list, and you know what? I should have changed this as well. So we want this to be refresh barter items. And so here we're calling refresh barter items and refresh barter items. Cool. Items. Cool. Okay. So refresh barter items. This is where we're going to be doing the rest of the changing here. So we were doing clear items. Obviously, that's not right anymore, and we would benefit from pulling up the API information. So we want to go into turbine.ui.TreeView and check at the methods. And just out of curiosity, is there clear? No, but there is a get nodes function. Get nodes is going to return a tree node list, and tree node list has a clear function. So here we want to say get nodes, and that has a clear function. Cool. Okay. Straightforward. What else do we have? So barter items. We need, instead of add item and set selected index, those don't work anymore. But again, we can get nodes, and then we can add to that instead of add item. So there's little inconsistencies in the interface here. Oh, but that takes a tree node, so we need an actual tree node. Okay, local tree node equals turbine.ui.tree node. Tree node, set parent. Let's go ahead and just set the barter items as the parent, for lack of a better thing. And tree node set size to be the thing what is going in it. And so this row holder, we're going to go ahead and say row holder get size, and row holder set parent is tree node. Actually, do we need? Yeah, tree node. We need that. Okay, so can we do this? This may be completely wrong. I haven't looked into this at all. Jane says, anyone else use Titan Bar? Only use it for a little real-world clock on my UI, but getting lots of weird Lua errors since the last update. So I have watched some of the conversation behind the developers for Titan Bar, the current maintainers of it, and it sounds like there were a lot of changes in this last update. So if there wasn't a specific thing you need in that updated Titan Bar, I would actually go back to a previous version before that massive overhaul. And let me go take a look at that actually. Titan Bar. Now Titan Bar's had a lot of maintainers over the years, so I like to come over here and sort by date, and we can see the one by function is the one we're talking about. Cool. So it's currently on version 150. And I would say right here. January 15 refactored a lot of code. Almost every part of the plugin was touched, so might have unintended effects. Please report any problems. So first of all, if you're not already in my my Cube plugins server, you can go report them there. And second of all, 145 is probably a lot less likely to have those little issues. If you're not comfortable joining Discord, I can't remember if you're in it, and you want to report them, you can send them to me as well. You can either do it through the LOTRO interface forums, or I think LOTRODtracker@gmail.com. That email's in the plugin description. I don't look at it often enough to remember exactly. But 145 should be really stable. 146 is where that large changing started, and you can see there's a rapid fire releasing of updates after that to try and fix some of those problems that came about from that refactoring. So 145 is great. and they're hopefully going to stabilize things as time goes on. They were trying to fix one of the main some of the main problems of Titan Bar is that it can be difficult to add new features to existing systems, like the currencies or like the reputation system, and so they're hoping to, possibly break things, but reorganize things so that future maintenance and future improvements come easier. So we're in that growing pains section there. So yeah, 1 for 5 should sort you out. And if not, come back and let me know. But in the meantime, if you do have those, if you can copy paste those Lua errors and say, hey, here's what I did when I generated them, send them off to me, send them off to Fanshin. I'll make sure they get to the right place if it comes to me. I mean, obviously it's not mandatory, but it does help us fix problems when people tell us about them. Okay, cool. So can we set a selected index? No idea. Let's come look at this. Okay, so Dan says, interesting, thanks for the insight. Didn't mean to interrupt the development on Festival Buddy 2. No worries. That's one of the things I love to do, is to answer questions about plugins, about Lord of the Rings Online, if I know the answer. And that's one I happen to know the answer of. Okay, so we have add, clear, contains, get count, index, remove, add. None of those say select. We do have a, set selected node. So cool. So we can save off that first node or just get the first node. So barter items, set selected node. And for that, I'm just going to be lazy and say barter items, get nodes, get number 1, and get rid of that. So ideally, we would save off barter items as a local variable, maybe, instead of doing so much accessing the member of barter win parent. But this is just to throw something out there and see what happens. So let's go ahead, get a good sense of Resolum's out of targeting range. I guess I'm okay with that. I'm going to disband so I don't keep accidentally trying to target Resolum. Cool. So this is what it should look like. Jeffrey Bloomer, consumables, stuff. How much did we just break it? Not necessarily at all, which is lovely. Let's see. Okay, so this is all very plausibly correct. So list box. Any more list box? Oh, I meant to search in barter win, not in the whole project. List box. List tokens needed. Oh, that's fine. Okay, cool. So step 1, change the type of barter items from listbox to TreeView. Done. Cool. Update, refresh barter items, logic to make a tree instead of list. Done. Step 1. No, well, not entirely. Step 1, just add all rows at row level, which should look identical. Done. It does look identical. Step 2, basic hierarchy logic. Oh, that's going to be harder. Let's go ahead and do some of that refactoring that I was talking about, where we go ahead and grab a local name for this concept. So local barter items equals this. And then we'll go ahead and use that in place. And I think that'll streamline this reading a little bit. So even just that last line, oops, we can see set selected node, barter items get nodes, get 1. Cool. Okay. What else do we have? So if a selected festival equals that, return. I think I want these to be co-located because we're checking to see if it's the same thing. If it's the same thing, we return. Otherwise, we want to change the value of that. So that all, to me, seems good to have. Local festival is only really used there. That's fine. Select a festival. Local festival items equals that. Okay. Let's move that a little bit closer. Okay. Row. Yeah, we can move this up. Okay. We have our barter items. We're clearing the nodes. Let's go ahead and Move that down here. I don't know. It's fine. All right, festival items. We are renaming, or we're making a local name to that. I don't think that really makes sense to me. We're going to go ahead and get rid of this for a... Again, I'm just trying to streamline how this function is because it's about to get way worse. Okay, row holder. I think it would make sense for the tree node to be the parent here. Oh, we're just using row width and row height there. We don't even need that. Okay. Now, what is tree node and why are we using it? That is a question. Tree node is... Oops. Tree node is directly descended from a control. I think we have an unnecessary level of complexity here. Let's go ahead and let's assume we don't need that. Let's say that this should be the tree node. Let's get rid of these and then see what happens. Okay, so we're going to unload, we're going to reload. Neat. Okay. My goal was to reduce complexity, and what we had was the control that has everything else in it, and we were putting it into an overlapping tree node, which is itself just the control. And so my goal was to not have that level of complexity. So kill that. The add function should handle the reparenting. That's what I wanted to test here. Cool. So we have a size, and then we are making a label or a row, and then we are adding that to a place. Now, get nodes returns a tree node list. And the obvious algorithm to reflect populating a tree is a potentially recursive function. What I'm thinking is there's a tree node list that represents the root nodes, and then each one of those nodes can itself have a tree node list that we are working with. And so, does Lua have a stack? Almost certainly not, but I don't know. I'm gonna do my random searching off screen just in case. Lua stack data structure. I would love to be able to push and pop things. Tables, of course. All right, Lua push to table. Actually, how do I? Okay, you can append it to it. Pop from table. You can just set that to null. Pop last from table. Okay, so if I have a desire for a stack, and in my mind, a stack is a data structure on which things you push onto them and then you pop off from the end. So you put the first item, you put the second, you put the third, you pop off the third. Now you can have more complicated stacks where you can pop off from either end, you can push to either end, but the simplest form of that is just a, you can only push to the end and you can only pop from the end. And that's uniquely suited to be implemented here in Lua because then we can just use the table.insert function to add a new item, and then you can just you can grab the last item in there with the number option. So let's go to our general functions, I guess. Stack. Nope. Okay. local, no, function, make new stack. Do I want to make a class out of this? I think I do not. Mostly because we don't have the turbine class files included in the project, and I don't want to add a dependency right now, but we can do that later. So, stack stuff, and stacks stuff. Okay, so what we want to do, and this is off the dome, so if you spot any obvious errors with my implementation here, just call them out. Okay, so we want a function, make new stack. Cool. Return a blank table. Function push to stack push stack push, and we want function stack pop as well, and that's really it. So what do we need to do? We need to push. So we need the stack itself and the new item, and we need to do that. Return something, do something, but making the new stack is done. Cool, okay. So when we're pushing, we want to do a table.insert onto the stack, and that's going to be the new item. The reason I'm doing these as functions instead of just calling this inline is I really do not want the implementation details to matter here. I have something I'm calling a stack. I can push to it. I can pop from it. I do not care how it's implemented. And by putting that behind these three functions here, I can move that into a class. I can change how it's implemented. I can do whatever later, and it's all isolated to just here. Whereas if I'm using table insert all over the place, that just makes the code more confusing, I think, for not a lot of benefit. So, local last item equals stacks last item. So the way this works is I'm saying give me the numerical index of the last thing that's in the numerical sequence from 1 to n as indices in this table. Which is to say this isn't quite the size of the table. This is just the last numerical entry in the sequence 1 to n. And if all of your entries run that, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, all the way to n, then it is also the number of things in your table. But it's an overlapping concept there. So I want the thing that is in the last position. In fact, I can just say last position equals number stack, count as stack. And then we can get the last item from the last position. And then we can say stacks last position equals nil. So we're going to clear that out. And then we're going to return that last item. And that is it. That is our stack. So we have the ability to make a new stack. We can push to a single item to it, and we can pop a single item to it. You can get fancier. You could push one stack onto another or something. We don't care. And I'm doing all of this because in my head, I think a stack represents what we want to use to track what we're doing in this tree. I may change my mind on that once we see how well this works. Okay, so it would be funny if there were a stack here in the, okay. So, in the Barter window, and I'm going to go ahead and just pull this off here so I can reference it visually. About 3 functions there. In here, what we want is this get nodes. And so, local tree node list stack equals, and here I am using the name of the type in the variable, and I was on a rant about this earlier, and so I don't know that this is a good final name for this variable, but it is kind of where we're at right now. A better name might be previously active tree node lists equals make new stack. So whenever we need to pause on one of those, we're going to put it there. And whenever we're done pausing, we're going to pull it back. And that's how we're going to keep track of where we are as we descend through hierarchies and come back out. Cool. Okay. Maybe. So what we will need to do is to know, are we doing a divider label or a barter item row? If it is a divider label, then we need to change our level. So a local current tree node list equals barter items get nodes. Cool. So this is what we need to use, not the get nodes. So the current tree node list is that. Let's double check that we haven't broken anything. Unload, reload. Great. Everything's still looking great. This is why in my day job, when I'm about to do something, I try to write down what I'm going to do first instead of just trying to do it improvisationally. It tends to result in better structured things. But we're only doing one function here. We should be able to do it. So when we hit a divider label, what I want to do is stack push the current tree node list. How will I know if it's time to pop? You know, I just want to see this working, I think. We'll just do this. That'll be fun. We're going to stack push that and then say current tree node list equals, and this is going to be in row holder get nodes. Yeah, just for fun. I think that's going to be terrible. Yay! So terrible I crashed the client. Yeah, that'll do it. Cool. Now, what's get child nodes? That is a tree node. Get child nodes should return a tree node list. Awesome. Okay, we'll be a little bit more cautious instead of just throwing caution to the wind there. Let's undo those and relaunch ourselves into the game. While I'm doing that, I've got to check what time I've got to be out of the house tomorrow. (1 o'clock). Fortunately, that is in the PM. Okay, I find that it gets through the startup process a little bit faster if you press escape on those two animation screens. The Lord has said, you said you had to relaunch yourself into the game and expected to see a hobbit go flying by. Hobbits are very stealthy. When they go flying by, I don't think you would even notice. Okay. As we're coming in here, we're going to go ahead and pull up the plugin in its non-crashing format and do some brainstorming in some system. Now, I wonder if I can get Obsidian to play nicely with this. Probably not. Yeah, that's good enough. Okay, so create new note. Great. Festival body to TreeView notes. So this is a tool called Obsidian. It's note-taking on steroids, and one of the main things about it is that you can type in Markdown, and you can link to other places in your collection of Markdown files. But in this case, I'm just using it as a handy-dandy Markdown editor. In fact, I could probably be doing this on GitHub instead. That might be a better, more responsible place to do this. So, GitHub, Festival Buddy 2. Okay, let's do that there. And we're going to do, try using a tree instead of a list. Great. We'll do the notes there. And then I don't have to worry about what am I even doing. Cool. Let's delete that. Okay. Dan says, aha, whereas us flying dwarves are known to be very noticeable. Well, I mean, hobbits are just canonically very stealthy, even without trying. And so I have to assume that applies even when they are flying through the air. Okay, let's go ahead and pull up the Barter window and put it behind me. So I'm going to come on into System Plugin Manager, and yeah, that's fine. Let's load up Festival Buddy 2. So we have our non-crashing Barter window. Excellent. I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. I don't need the main Festival Buddy window, and I don't need that for right now. Okay, cool. So let's talk ourselves through the logic of this. We have a hierarchy of whatever we're calling these things, dividers, and barter items. Each divider should increase the hierarchy by 1. Example. And what do we have? We have Jeffrey Bloomer Barter Vendor. Consumables. And map to winter home. Okay, just so we can demonstrate that, we can see, I don't really love Markdown bulleted lists that indent, but it's fine. Whatever. It works. So, I should write winter home correctly, though. Winter home. Okay, so we have that. This is divider 1. Brackets do special things for hyperlinking in Markdown, so I'm just doing a backslash to escape it. Divider 2. And this is a barter item. Great. That's straightforward. The difficulty comes when it is time to stop descending into the hierarchy and start ascending. A divider should descend if and only if the previous divider was one above it. Divider 1 or 2 descends if it is preceded by divider 1. Okay, so we hit a divider 1, that's fine, we're at the root level. We hit a divider 2, we should descend down. If we hit another divider 2, we should not descend down, but we should start a new node. And if we hit a divider 1, we should go back up. This all gets a lot easier if we don't have to account for random hierarchies, but if we instead just say you always have divider ones and then divider twos and then barter items. What if we just did that? We could even forego the stack idea temporarily and say, what if we had the current, what if we have root nodes equals that, local current barter 1 nodes equals nil at the moment, local current barter 2 nodes equals nil. And barter 1 would consist of barter 2s, barter 2s would consist of barter items, and that's it. Now, I think some festivals don't have that structure yet, but let's see what this does for the ones we do, and then I think we're fine. Maybe. Let's play around with that. Okay, so we make a new holder. We set its size. If we are divider 1 or divider 2, do stuff. So if it's divider 1, let's go ahead and say that off. Local type equals barter and divider type. Cool. If type equals that or type equals that, then if type equals divider 1. Oh, why is that in quotes? I don't like that at all. We have a variable for that. So if type equals divider 1, then, and then else type equals divider 2, then and. Okay. No matter what, we're making this divider label. The question is, where is this going? And then the current tree node list. Yeah, maybe we can still make use of that. I don't know. Local current equals root nodes. Cool. So if type equals that, then it needs to be a node that goes into root nodes. I almost feel like this logic needs to happen after that, because wherever we are, if we... Man. Hierarchies. No, we have a row, and we're putting it someplace. And the question is, after we put it someplace, do we ascend or descend or what? If we hit a divider 1, then current barter nodes 2 should equal nil. If we hit a divider 2, then current barter 1 nodes equals row holder get nodes. Then current barter 2 nodes equals row holder get child nodes. And then yeah, let's move this up until we're satisfied with it. We're going to go ahead and say not current 1, but current barter 2 nodes. Add. Really? Add. Item? Really? Oh, I see. multi-line comment. How do I record the type of this? Like that. Okay. And this is a tree node list. You know what, let's just say it's always a tree node list. Add, okay, fine. Very good. So we add current barter 2, okay. If it's not that, if it's a divider 2, then we are current barter 1 nodes add row holder. And then if it's a 0, then we will do root nodes add, and that's row holder. Now, this, it doesn't like it. Cannot convert its type into nil. I'm fine with that. And then, so we have an add, we have an add, we have an add. Let's just reduce the chance of us crashing the client by only adding the divider ones. Let's give that a try. So we're going to go ahead and, oh man, I still have my gamma up. I'm sorry. Makes mortar way easier, but then makes everything else super bright. Okay. So, fingers crossed. I'm going to go ahead and unload. I'm going to load. Hooray! And we can see we are only adding the divider 1 types, those first tier. Those are the 4. Okay, let's go ahead and toss in adding the next ones. Okay, and we have the expansion and contraction that we expect from the fact that we're doing a tree view instead. Now we still don't have any items underneath there. That's fine. Whenever we hit that divider 2, we're setting a divider 2 nodes equals that. So let's go ahead and add these in as well. Dan says that window looks so clean. We're about to fix that. Okay. Now, notice that they're all starting collapsed. I don't think I like that. So what we want is to remember how to expand and collapse things. So we're just going to stick this over there. All right, expand. We have expand all. All right, let's do an expand all. When we're all done with this, and barter items expand all. Okay, let's see. Unload, reload. Great. So this now looks identical, but we can expand and collapse sections. Now, we are missing a visual indication that something can be expanded and collapsed. And as an example, if we come into our skills window, we can see anthems has a little box here. You can click it. And when you're clicking the row anthems, the box shows whether you can collapse or expand. There's a collapse all and expand all buttons. These would be very nice refinements. But the key is we have done the basic work here, because if we unload and reload, we're not going to save what's expanded and what's collapsed. But we are going to come back to a window that looks identical. And I'll tell you what, I could pause there and be very happy. So let's go ahead and pause there and be very happy and commit the code that we have so far so we don't break anything. Now, am I going to end up not needing the stack stuff? Probably. I won't bother committing it right now, but I won't delete it either yet. Okay, so I'm going to delete the code that references it until such time as we need it. Now, actually, I think where this is going to cause a problem and possibly crash the client is if I go to other festivals. So let's give that a try. Hobnanigans. Awesome. Inley Gale Association. Harvest Math does work because that's been redone. Farmers Fair. Great, that's been done. Midsummer, I think, is not. Oh, yeah. We can see we're getting error messages when we try to do that. Good news, though, it didn't crash the game this time. Okay, attempt to load current barter 2 nodes. Okay, and so that's line 272. Great. So if current barter 2 nodes, then else if current barter 1 nodes, then we'll go ahead and do that. Current barter 1 nodes add row holder. Else, we got to do the root ones. So root nodes add. Row holder. I don't like the name row holder. I kind of want to go change that, but that's a different problem. So we're going to go ahead and unload, reload, and cool. We can see spring does actually just work. We can just collapse these sections instead. So it's not necessarily predictable where everything's going to go if we had to look at it programmatically, but it does work. So anniversary, that's fine. Midsummer, that's still in the old format. So that's just working. That's amazing. Okay, so I was honestly expecting that to work worse, so that's really cool. Okay, so I don't like all of these add statements. I think I would rather have try to fix that. In fact, what's going on with this? Do I care about this? I do want that. Okay. So if this was nil, does that cause this to be a problem? Needs nil check. I mean, oh, that's fair. That's fair. Okay. So we know that's a tree node. Okay. We're not using this. Kill it. This needs that. So if current barter 1 nodes, then else we have to use root nodes. Add. And now things are starting to look similar, which is fine. Okay. Okay. So how do I extract all of this adding code? I don't. First, I save it. We're going to go ahead and go into fork and save some changes. That's the barter window, and these are the notes on what I was doing. And I don't actually want to save those notes, but I do want to save this and this. What does that look like? Great. Okay. I want to save this, and I want to save that, and I want to save that. And so far, yeah, let's do that. Okay, that's that. Renamed function to renamed refresh barter list function. That's fine. Done. Make those easier. Okay, not looking at that. Okay, so I'm having trouble seeing the not side-by-side view, so we're going to look at the side-by-side view. Okay, so this was some cleanup here. How much of it can I... Yeah, okay. So moving the selected festival up there. Can we just do that? Yep. Moved. Setting a loaded festival to different location in function. Sure. It's a very verbose for a one-line entry. Okay. What else do we have? Oh, the get strings. We can do that. Great. So this and this should just be those two moving around. Moved where main label is populated. The goal is just to make the actual commit of the bulk of the changes a little bit more coherent. So oh yeah, we're deleting this. So we're deleting this in favor of this. So we got rid of local festival items and the 4. Oh, that looks weird. I think I have messed something up. Yeah, all right, fair enough. Can't do that. Now, one thing I will sometimes do is just say, you know what, we're going to undo everything temporarily so that I can make sense of this change. So this change here, we're going to go ahead and just get rid of that and then come back into fork where we can see, okay, cool, we got rid of that and we have this. So removed unneeded local variable. Cool. Then we come back in. Now we're going to save that instead. And we can see this line is fine. Let's not worry about the minor stuff. Great. Okay, so all the rest of this is, I think, too intimately tied in with what we are doing. Oh, we're no longer making use of that stack. Okay. So, clear items has to change. The list box has to change. We have these local variables now. We are changing from control to a tree node. And then we have the complicated logic that I want to streamline. But I think the rest of this is good. So, changed list box to TreeView. Nope, nope, and nope. So that's the rest of this, but I don't actually need that. All right, list box to TreeView, clear items changes, and all the rest of it. Great. So now we have a cleaner working directory where we can come on back to these notes and say, is there anything else left? Update the logic to make a tree instead. Basic hierarchy logic stuff to put stuff in a divider until we find the next divider. We're doing simpler stuff, so I think, yeah, I'm good with that going away. Cool. All right, so we have logic that I don't like, and I think this can be streamlined. So the real question is, can we always know that if there is a current barter 2, we can use it? Otherwise, if current barter 2 isn't there, we can try to use current barter 1. And if that's not there, then we use the root. So I guess the question is, can this just be moved out here? And we get rid of this. But we also go ahead and get rid of this. What if it comes earlier? So if we are currently in a barter tree, we need to check the type here. Okay. I think we have to do stuff first. Okay. So if we are doing a divider 2, then row holder needs to go to the previous one. That's why this was here. But if we just added what if this is over here? Current barter tree, add that, and then if it's going under a 1, then it must be a 2. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and okay. And then if it's a 1, then this can come on down here. Well, you set current to 2, okay. The real question is, if the type is divider 1, yeah, I feel like I'm missing something on where these get set up. So if current is 2 is set to nil, where, no, God no. Where is 1 ever set to to nil? Current barter 1 nodes would be set to nil never. Where is it updated? Whenever we add something into the root level, but that means it had to be nil to get there. I don't think this is going to work. If we set this to nil here, and then it was set correctly down here, this is going to be set to the getChild nodes, which is what it should have done, yeah? So if it's a 1, we reset both of those. If it's a 2, what if we just set this equals nil, and then 2 is going to be set correctly? And otherwise, if it's here, is that it? I don't think that's it. I feel like I'm going to crash again. Okay, let's go back to Yule. I know what that's supposed to look like. All right, so we have consumables. That can still be. We have Jeffrey Bloomer. So we should have just the 4 here. Under consumables, it looks right. Oh, I need to write some comments to explain what the heck is going on here. But, okay. If type is divider 1, then reset the existing divider 1 and divider 2 trackers. The code below will set up the new divider 1 tracker. And here, the code below will set up the new divider 2 tracker. Reset the existing divider 2 tracker. I feel like these comments aren't really explaining what's going on, more just like reiterating the code. So I think there's improvements to be made here. Okay, but the following code assumes divider 2's always appear under divider 1's, and that barter item and dividers never appear under barter items. I don't know that it wouldn't produce something, but it wouldn't. It's untested to be sure. Okay, so if there if we have seen a barter 2, this is expected to be one of its barter items. Otherwise, if we have seen a barter 1, this is expected to be one of its. Oh, wait, sorry. Otherwise, if we have seen a barter 2, divider 2, this is expected to be one of its barter items. If we've seen a divider 1, this is expected to be one of its divider 2's or barter items. Otherwise, this is expected to be a divider or barter item at the root level. Okay, maybe that's explanatory enough. The real question is, does it still work, or did I break something in typing those comments? And does it still work when I go to other festivals that don't follow this same pattern? And yes, it seems to. Bonkers. Hobnautigans, that's very exciting because, oh, what the? Oh, that's funny. Okay, this is an error in that we are assuming that the first two levels should be collapsible. We can see red, Dorking, Scrapper, Blackfoot, Orange, and the map to Hobnautigans all got put underneath the white carrying chicken, which is very funny. Whereas all those things that actually had the right categories are just correct. Let's go ahead and get this saved off. Initial logic consolidation. TreeView populating logic consolidation. Okay, good enough. Dan says chicken isn't consumable. Blasphemy. I mean, you'd think, yeah, they're all consumable. It's good. The chicken's consumable. Okay, so how is this getting messed up? We jumped from what I assume is a divider 2. Let's go into the barter items. White, carrying chicken. So this is underneath a divider 1. So let's walk through the logic here. We have a divider 1, so we set dividers, the current 1 and 2 to nil, and that drops us into here. So we have a root item, and we say the current barter 1 nodes is that. Okay. then we get a white carrying chicken. So we come in here, and it's not any of that. So we come in to make the item row. Then we don't have any current barter 2 nodes. What? No, cancel. So it can't be that. And we do have barter 1 nodes, so it must be that. Oh, but if the type's not that, then we don't need... Okay. If type... Yeah, no, we can just that whole thing. Otherwise, don't recurse. Okay. Yeah, no, let's see that. Same thing here, I guess. Let's try that. Hey, that got rid of the incorrect delving in there, but we can still collapse down these categories. Okay, I feel better about that. So, if we have team divider 1, this is supposed to be 1 as well. Yeah, I'm still not sure these comments are going to be very helpful the next time I have to look at this code, but we can always improve. You know, it's good that there's something here. But that being said, we have working collapsible sections. What we don't have is any visual indication that these can be collapsed or expanded. Would love to have that. However, we are well into this stream already, and I unfortunately may not be able to do a full 2 hours today. So we're going to come back into our source control and at least get that committed in. So only update the tracking variables if we actually saw a divider. I do want to make a note here. Note, the following code is pretty accommodating if the barter items only use divider 1 and barter items. The missing divider 2s will not cause any observed problems. Cool. Added a note that missing divider 2s have not been seen to cause a problem. Great. Now, we still have some debug stuff, the stack stuff that I guess I don't need because I don't need that flexibility. Cool. Just leave it for right now. Okay, so what are we doing next? Let's at least plot out what we're doing next. To do next. Really? Okay, there we go. To do next. Multi-line comments. Great. I need to learn those. Incorporate expand / collapse icons in each row. Pay attention to the clicked or expanded callbacks for each tree node. Toggle icon as appropriate. Incorporate expand all, collapse all icons at top. And then save off expanded state of each node in when plugin loads. Pay attention to saved expanded state of each node when plugin loads. So that's probably going to be a pretty full accounting of what we want. And just to give us an example of what that would look like is, the dtracker plugin does have this, but just the skills window, each one of these little buttons, the way plugins have to implement this is we have a little control that has the background image of either the plus or the minus, and then when the node collapses, well, we set it up according to the state of the node. So if the node starts off expanded, then it's a minus to show that it will collapse. And if it starts off collapsed, it's a plus to show that it will expand. And then whenever the thing is expanded or collapsed, and do we have access to that? So that's a tree node. Selected changed. Not sure. We have the clicked. Be great if we knew if it was expanding or not. Set expanded, selected changed. It might be that. So we know when the tree node's been selected or not. Awesome. Tan in chat says, I've reported my errors to the Titan Bar devs, but in the interim, I can confirm 1.45 works fine. Thank you so much. I know they're trying to make sure it's as good as it can be, and unfortunately, there's so many little variations in how Treebeard interacts with your character, which parts you have turned on, what items or currencies or reputations you have proceeded on. All of these little things can make it so they don't even know that there's a problem until someone else encounters it. So that's awesome. Okay, yeah. So we have a tree node, and when it is selected, when its selection is changed, when it's opened or closed, expanded or collapsed, then we want to pay attention to that so we can keep the state of the plus or minus button in sync. Now the expand all, collapse all buttons, there's a little rollover effect, but they don't actually change based on whether you expand all or collapsed all. They're just always there. So those are actually really easy. You just iterate through every, well, for expand all, oh, do we have a collapse all as well? That'd be cool. So TreeView, we have an expand all, we have a collapse all. So those are single line things where we just go to the TreeView and say collapse all, expand all, done. And in fact, I think there's what I would call a bug in the game for things like crafting panels, where the expand all and collapse alls apply to all of your professions. So we can see Scholar is not expanded. I come to Metalsmith, I expand all. I go over to Scholar, it's expanded all. So I actually don't like where that bleeds through. I feel like the expand all, collapse all, these should be profession specific because they're in the profession area is how it feels. Like they're underneath the actual professions. The way it currently works, I would like, hang on. Yeah, search is profession specific. So these plus minus buttons need to be up at the top because they're not profession specific, but they should actually just be changed so that they only affect the tree for the current profession. Because the search box, if we're searching for scroll or something in Metalsmith and we come over to Scholar, oops, we meant to do it here. So okay, but now Prospector and Taylor, their search boxes aren't populated, and so that's how I feel like the expand all, collapse all should be. Anyway, slight diversion. So yeah, those are super easy to implement in a window with a single tree. You don't even have to worry about which tree is active. And then clicking on the buttons themselves we need to make sure that counts as clicking on the row. And the way to do this is to make sure that the button control doesn't receive mouse input at all. So it falls through into the row that it's in. Anyway. So those are things, and I had done that implementation in the dtracker plugin once before many years ago. So my assumption is if we run into any problems along the way, we're going to be able to just dig into the dtracker plugin and say, hey, what'd you do over there? And then incorporate that here as well. But it's always it's fun to kind of rederive these solutions. So I may not pay too much attention to that, other than to figure out what the resource IDs for these little images are, or if perhaps dtracker extracted that out and has them saved as an image file. But if we can use the ones built into the game, that's great, because then if they're ever changed in the game, then we automatically pick that up. Okay, so Ghosty says, agree. I think on the expand all, collapse all should only affect the current tree. Yeah, I was actually surprised when I noticed that, because it was so unintuitive. But I was flipping back and forth because, I think I was doing Doomfold stuff, some of the once per day things. And so I was flipping through, I had done whatever, and was like, oh, okay, I just need to collapse it down, do Doomfold, and then I flipped over to the next one, and it's like, wait a second, these are all collapsed down as well. Could have sworn that was open. I come over here, and it collapsed, and it's like, wait a moment, this is not working the way I intuit it should. What are you going to do? Okay. I don't like that scroll bar. I don't like it. But it is necessary, I get it. Especially if for a German client, I bet those are a lot longer. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I think this is a good breaking point. I think we've made a lot of good progress. I'm going to actually go into my source control and make sure we've pushed out these changes. Be a shame if I got struck by lightning and it died here. Okay, so I think this is a good break point. And then next time, what we're going to do is try to do all those niceties that really bring this from, this is very functional, it's fine, but it's not very discoverable. And if someone does click on it, and things change, there's no obvious mechanism by which they get it back. And so we want it to be obvious that if you click it, it collapsed. You want to be obvious what did happen, all of that. So that's what these little affordances are going to do. They're going to bring this in sync with a user's expectations. And then the niceness of actually saving off that expanded state, just in case someone cares, so they unload, they reload, and it's in more or less the same state. The one thing I've had trouble with in the past, and we'll see if we're able to do anything about it, is if you have scrolled down to lawn chickens, and we unload and reload, we're back up at the top. And so I would love to get a consistent way of determining where are we, and I think there might be a game that we can play by interrogating the visibility of elements in the tree, and then making sure some of those same elements are visible. But I recall having problems with that, and so we're going to play around with that. TreeView functions, get selected node, set selected node. Maybe being able to set the selected node will bring it into view, but knowing which one of these is selected, like if someone clicks on it, is that selecting it? We need to play around with it, because I don't have a good intuition on that. But if we can restore more or less where we are in the scroll, I'd love to go ahead and backport that back into the dtracker plugin where that is lacking, and I don't like that. Okay. Well, where is my stuff? There it is. Okay. And we're all caught up on chat. Then, that is everything we're going to cover today. Thank you so much for joining me on this exploration of LOTRO plugins. I do hope to see you next time, I think next week. And until then, keep plugging along. All right, bye-bye now.